地狱般的岩浆海逃出来，怎么又遇上？
羽翼不是你这实力所能拥有的。
紫月上帝的高手。
罗峰，那一只傻瓜进了死路，逃不掉了。这么绝不退缩。
这个一命，这一战不死不休。目前情况如何？
就用拳头来说话。
我知道什么是后悔。
领主，真是个疯子。
我会让你死。
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Alrasta channel. Here, I will share spoilers for SwallowedStar episode 231. Just a quick reminder, this breakdown is based on the novel, so expect some slight differences from the Donghua version. Alright, without further ado, let's dive right into the story. When Feng Long Master laid eyes on Luo Feng's silver wings, he immediately threw a sarcastic remark about how incredible the treasure was. Luo Feng felt a bit tense because he knew exactly how arrogant and united the fighters from the Purple Moon, Holy Land, could be if one of their own was messed with, a faction far more terrifying and massive than the Divine Eye clan. Luckily, Feng Long Master didn't plan on snatching the wings, figuring there were plenty of other great treasures out in the universe ocean. Still, he strictly shooed Luo Feng away, claiming that the Blazing Flames Lake was under their faction's absolute control. Not wasting any time and more than happy to oblige, Luo Feng said his goodbyes and bolted from the area at lightning speed. After getting far enough away and realizing that Feng Long Master was way easier to talk to than those crazy fighters from the first reincarnation era, Luo Feng immediately activated his ultimate technique, the Golden Country. Instantly, a hazy golden light spread out covering a 10 light-year radius, allowing Luo Feng to start short-distance teleportation from one safe spot to another across the Blazing Flames Lake. Considering this dangerous territory spanned tens of thousands of light-years and was filled with frozen zones devoid of spatial ripples, as well as fog packed with deadly ice shards, he estimated it would take him about a month or two to cross it. While Luo Feng was busy pushing through these obstacles, a shocking rumor began spreading like wildfire among the fighters of the first reincarnation era regarding the incredible feats of a young man from the original universe. The news, spread directly by Yin Tuo, who was currently hiding to recover, claimed that Luo Feng, the Silver Wing Horde leader, had actually managed to injure him and wipe out both Ultimate Arrow Master and 5 Chaos Master. Naturally, this news sparked a massive uproar because Luo Feng's Silver Wings had proven to possess insanely powerful spatial abilities, enough to suppress the Water Ripple Prison technique. These rumors finally reached the ears of the higher-ups in the Divine Eye clan on the third day after their 2 members got trapped in the lava ocean. Anxiety washed over the faction, as 5 Chaos Master was one of their main pillars of strength, and her position was far more crucial than in Young Masters. Desperate for the truth, dozens of clones and avatars of the Universe Masters from the Divine Eye clan immediately teleported to 5 Chaos Masters' Black Palace in their first miniature universe. However, their arrival was met with furious shouts from 5 Chaos Master herself, demanding not to be disturbed because all her focus and consciousness were completely drained trying to save her dying main body in the lava ocean. Realizing the situation was highly critical, the faction's higher-ups quickly backed off, but their worst fears became reality when, half a day later, Ultimate Arrow Master's avatar suddenly turned to ash right after screaming a final vengeful message, begging them to avenge his death against Luo Feng. Ultimate Arrow Master's death served as concrete proof for the Divine Eye clan that the circulating rumors weren't just empty talk. Now, not daring to disrupt the remaining focus of 5 Chaos Master, all the faction leaders could do was resign themselves to waiting for her ultimate fate. Meanwhile, deep inside the vortex of the lava ocean, 5 Chaos Masters' flying palace was tossing and turning in a completely wrecked state, with 4 massive holes pierced right through the palace's protective walls. Inside the ruins of her dying ship, 5 Chaos Master kept grinding her teeth, enduring intense frustration and absolute despair, all while continuously screaming Luo Feng's name with deep-seated hatred. Even though information spread slowly across the universe ocean, the rumor brought by Yin Tuo quickly shook the races in the first reincarnation era, even reaching the intelligence network of the Purple Moon Holy Land. On the 4th day since 5 Chaos Master got trapped, the news sparked a frenzy at Purple Moon Cliff, the gathering spot for the Universe Masters of the Purple Moon Holy Land clan. A 3-faced woman dressed in silver announced that Luo Feng, the Silver Wing Horde leader from the original universe, had successfully injured Yin Tuo and trapped their powerful enemy in the lava ocean. The news that Luo Feng's Silver Wings could suppress 5 Chaos Masters' domain immediately triggered the greed of several fighters from the Purple Moon Holy Land. They felt such an incredible treasure was too valuable to be held by some kid and planned to snatch it. In another corner of Purple Moon Cliff, a golden-haired man named Panka Master, upon hearing the news, instantly teleported to the All-God sector to meet his good friend, Feng Long Master. Inside a grand white palace, Panka Master eagerly recounted the rumors of Luo Feng's silver wings, whose power was said to rival even a supreme true treasure. Since the blazing water lake was under their jurisdiction, Panka Master provoked Feng Long Master to seize this rare opportunity to take the treasure for themselves. Tempted by a treasure whose value matched the extermination godly armor, Feng Long Master agreed and immediately hatched a siege plan based on Luo Feng's flight path from their previous encounter, also calling in their comrade, Yu Ya Master, to intercept the target. Meanwhile, immense tension also gripped the first miniature universe of the Divine Eye clan. Dozens of faction leaders gathered anxiously outside 5 Chaos Master's Black Palace after learning that Ultimate Arrow Master had officially died a gruesome death. They didn't dare disturb the palace, knowing that 5 Chaos Master was probably betting her life, using all her consciousness to save her main body. If their pillar of strength were to fall and lose the legendary extermination godly armor, it wouldn't just be an incalculable loss of assets, but also a massive slap in the face to the reputation and honor of the entire Divine Eye clan across the universe ocean. At the same time, right at the border where the intense heat of the lava ocean met the freezing cold of the blazing water lake, space suddenly distorted violently from a massive explosion. From the boiling hot magma, a terrifying giant 4-legged beast emerged, sporting 6 wings, 9 tails, and 5 heads engulfed in blazing lava. The creature let out a deafening roar, unleashing a mix of madness and pure joy before shrinking and transforming into black armor clinging to a fighter's body. That figure was none other than 5 Chaos Master, who had actually made it out of the lava ocean hell alive, all thanks to her armor's ability to manifest into 5 beast gods, rivaling the level of a pinnacle flying palace-type true treasure. Standing on the edge of the freezing lake, 5 Chaos Master screamed hysterically, venting all the rage and mental stress she had bottled up over the last 5 days. Even though her flying palace was completely wrecked and her pride and joy armor had taken some damage, she felt extremely lucky that her most crucial asset could still function to multiply her power. Amidst her burning anger, she deeply regretted her delayed decision to unleash her ultimate 5-beast extermination move when she first faced Luo Feng. To wash away her humiliation and prove to the world that she wasn't afraid, 5 Chaos Master swore she would make Luo Feng feel the deepest regret imaginable. Not wasting a second to cool off her emotions, 5 Chaos Master immediately pulled out a top-tier spaceship that had belonged to the late Ultimate Arrow Master. With madness gleaming in her eyes, she stepped into the cockpit and floored the ship through the freezing waters of the blazing water lake to hunt down her enemy. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a beautiful 3-faced woman in a black combat suit suddenly appeared on the lake's surface. That figure was Yu Ya Master, who instantly activated her domain treasure, emitting a bright green light to scan the entire surrounding area. Through their avatar projection communication in the All-God sector, a thrilled Yu Ya Master excitedly contacted Feng Long Master and Panka Master to tell them that their hunch was dead on. Sweeping the area with her green domain radar, she confirmed that Luo Feng's current position was exactly at the coordinates they had targeted. With that confirmation, the 3 Universe Masters from the Purple Moon Holy Land were now locked and loaded to spring their deadly trap, aiming to corner the Silver Wing Horde leader and steal his silver wings. Fierce winds howled like slicing blades in the middle of the cold air region, a frozen zone that made teleportation entirely impossible. Right in the middle of this siege, Feng Long Master tried to talk Luo Feng into handing over his silver wings peacefully, offering a trade of 3 high-tier treasures or a pinnacle true treasure. But Luo Feng boldly mocked the offer, knowing full well that Feng Long Master was still a light year away. A distance that would take days to cross by just flying manually. This 3-day chase by the 3 Universe Masters of the Purple Moon Holy Land was starting to make things incredibly tricky, especially since his enemy's domain treasure, the Nebula Lamp, was proving to be slightly stronger than 5 Chaos Masters' Water Ripple Prison. Even though Yu Ya Master and Panka Master weren't on the same power level as Feng Long Master, this 3-pronged attack still severely restricted Luo Feng's movements. To be honest, the 3 pursuers from the Holy Land were starting to get anxious themselves, realizing that Luo Feng's Golden Country technique let him easily keep a safe distance, backing up when they pushed forward, and dodging when they tried to cut him off. Panka Master even suggested destroying the Golden Space, but Feng Long Master admitted he was powerless to do it from that far away, leaving them no choice but to hope Luo Feng would slip up and wander out of the cold air region. They kept piling on the pressure, from threatening to call in dozens of extra universe masters from the Holy Land faction, to warning him that the entire universe ocean would soon be hunting him thanks to the widespread rumors. Yet Luo Feng stubbornly stood his ground, challenging them with his fists raised. The massively violent clash of energy between Luo Feng's golden light domain and the nebula rings from Feng Longmaster's nebula lamp finally triggered a shockwave that echoed for light years around the blazing flames lake. After surviving in the cold air region for 8 days while waiting for the frozen lake fire phenomenon to appear, which could be his ticket out, Luo Feng's Golden Country radar suddenly picked up a very familiar energy ripple on the outer borders. That figure was none other than 5 Chaos Master, who had miraculously made it out of the lava ocean hell alive. Using his domain network, Luo Feng immediately shot over a highly sarcastic, mocking message to welcome his arch-nemesis, who was already out for his blood. The reunion of these two bitter enemies instantly sparked a war of words packed with thick, murderous intent. 5 Chaos Master, seeing Luo Feng as just a lucky little brat, charged straight ahead while activating the core of Blade Sector, a top-tier sword domain treasure belonging to the late Ultimate Arrow Master that she had managed to secure. Even though this sword domain wasn't as strong as her destroyed Water Ripple prison, 5 Chaos Master still managed to put extra pressure on Luo Feng's Golden Country. At the same time, Feng Longmaster, who was on the other side of the frozen zone, instantly noticed the arrival of this new domain. After confirming each other's identities through their clashing domains, Feng Longmaster felt both thrilled and cautious about 5 Chaos Master's arrival. It meant he had a powerful ally to help catch Luo Feng, but also a tough rival when it came time to split the loot. The incredibly pragmatic 5 Chaos Master immediately proposed that they put aside the issue of who gets the silver wings for a moment, and focus purely on teaming up to corner Luo Feng from 2 opposite directions, making sure their target had absolutely zero room to escape. Feng Longmaster agreed to this tactical plan, and in the blink of an eye, 2 heavy hitters from completely different factions shot forward like meteors from 2 sides to lock down the Silver Wing Horde leader's position. Seeing 2 major figures from the Divine Eye clan and Purple Moon Holy Land teaming up to take him down, Luo Feng actually burst out laughing, proud that he could push the strongest fighters in the universe ocean to their limits. But he wasn't stupid enough to just let himself stay surrounded any longer. Luo Feng immediately maxed out his speed and opted to fly straight up, piercing through the blockade before his 2 enemies could lock down his vertical coordinates. While this deadly chase in the Blazing Flames Lake was nearing its climax, the slow-moving ripples of information in the universe ocean finally seeped into the human race's territory back in the original universe. The news of Luo Feng managing to injure Yin Tuo and now being cornered by 4 universe masters instantly reached the ears of Void Goldmaster. His eyes went wide in pure shock, completely unable to believe that his junior had stirred up such massive chaos over in the universe boat. Inside the main palace of Hong Alliance City in the virtual universe, the atmosphere suddenly turned frantic as the universe masters gathered to discuss the latest rumors about Luo Feng. Firestone Master initially doubted Luo Feng's safety, while Void Gold Master firmly believed the news was fake, thinking his junior was way too weak to navigate a lethal zone like God-destroying mountain, let alone go toe-to-toe with a powerhouse like 5 Chaos Master. However, all those doubts vanished instantly, replaced by sheer tension when Peng Gong Master, who had connections with the Purple Moon Holy Land, confirmed with a dead serious face that all these wild rumors were 100% real. The news of Ultimate Arrow Master blowing up, Yin Tuo's body being destroyed, and 5 Chaos Master being indirectly trapped in the lava ocean by Luo Feng instantly sparked a new wave of respect from fighters of other races toward the Milky Way Horde leader. Hearing this shocking confirmation, a stunned Primal Chaos City leader immediately summoned Luo Feng's consciousness projection into the palace. In front of his awestruck seniors, Luo Feng casually recounted the gritty details of how he wrecked his enemies, including how he was forced to punch through the lava ocean just to survive. The anxiety of the human race's higher-ups hit a fever pitch when Luo Feng broke the news that he was currently being hunted by 4 tough universe masters, including Feng Long Master and a returning, revenge-hungry 5 Chaos Master over at the Blazing Water Lake. Due to the massive distance, which would take decades for either Primal Chaos City leader or Huge Axe creator to cross to help him, Luo Feng firmly told his master to relax. He then took his leave, needing to focus every ounce of his consciousness on this unavoidable life-or-death battle. Back to the harsh reality of the fight at Blazing Water Lake, the deadly siege kept tightening, backed by the deeply vengeful roars of 5 Chaos Master, who swore she would end Luo Feng to restore her good name in the Universe Ocean. Unwilling to entertain a screaming match, Luo Feng opted to push his speed, rocketing straight up into the sky through an airspace that was getting intensely frozen. Right above them lay the frozen lake fire, an eternal blue firestorm crackling with lightning capable of cracking a pinnacle flying palace-type true treasure. To punch through this lethal storm, Luo Feng directly retreated into his Crimson Pyramid, quickly followed by Pan Ke Master and Yu Ya Master in their protective Silver Sphere, and 5 Chaos Master, who split her armor into the 5 Beast God forms to chase her target down. Once all the fighters were deep inside the vortex of the frozen lake fire, Feng Long Master tagged along using his own pinnacle flying palace-type true treasure, closely observing the situation. Pan Ke Master and Yu Ya Master started getting suspicious when they noticed Luo Feng's Crimson Pyramid suddenly drastically slowing down right in front of them. Under Feng Long Master's command, the two opted to keep a safe distance, knowing the area ahead was a total death trap. On the flip side, 5 Chaos Master, completely blinded by madness, pushed her 5 Beast God form to maximum speed to close the gap, dropping it from tens of billions down to a mere few 100 million kilometers, just so she could rip Luo Feng's ship to shreds. Seeing his arch-nemesis right on his tail, Luo Feng used his Golden Country domain to send one last voice message, asking if 5 Chaos Master actually knew what kind of terrifying territory was sitting right in front of them. The place was none other than the Road to Desperation, an entrance to the 12 Abysses, which was the very source of all the frozen lake fire. It was known as a land of absolute death, actively avoided even by fighters who owned pinnacle flying palace-type true treasures. In the middle of this giant black hole's vortex, with its incredibly devastating gravitational pull, the Star Tower and Luo Feng's golden space fought hard to resist the drag. Meanwhile, 5 Chaos Master, assuming Luo Feng was just bluffing, kept pushing forward and slammed her giant claws right into the Crimson Pyramid. In the critical seconds when the 5 Beast God form smashed into his ship, Luo Feng whispered softly, admitting that he really wasn't a direct match for his rival in a physical brawl. A second later, a massive energy explosion triggered the miniature universe technique, instantly trapping 5 Chaos Master's body alongside him right at the edge of the deadly abyss. Without even a shred of intention to fight the gravitational pull, the artificial space was crushed to pieces by the black hole's suction, forcibly dragging both of their bodies straight into the eternal darkness of the 12 Abysses. 5 Chaos Master, realizing this suicide trap a second too late, shrieked hysterically as she tried to fly backward, but her voice was drowned out by Luo Feng's echoing satisfaction, feeling honored to drag his greatest enemy down to mutual destruction with him. Following the disappearance of those two massive energy ripples into the forbidden abyss, a chilling silence immediately blanketed the outer edge of the 12 Abysses just as the silver sphere and flying palace of their Holy Land pursuers showed up. Pan Ke Master and Yu Ya Master trembled violently, witnessing an act of pure recklessness that completely defied common sense, while Feng Long Master could only stand there frozen, staring at the black hole and cursing Luo Feng's madness, a guy who was willing to sacrifice himself just to take down his enemy. Watching the fate of 5 Chaos Master, who was basically guaranteed dead and gone forever from the Universe Ocean, Feng Long Master was suddenly hit by a wave of horror, yet felt bizarrely grateful that his greedy ambitions from a few days ago didn't end up making him the victim of the Silver Wing Horde leader's suicide tactics. Unlike the lava ocean, which still offered a tiny sliver of a chance to survive, the deep abyss, also known as the Road to Desperation, was an absolute certainty of annihilation with 0 survival odds for a Universe Master. Yet amidst the darkness of that bottomless pit, 5 Chaos Master's 5 Beasts God form actually erupted into terrifying hysterical laughter. She praised Luo Feng's sheer madness for being willing to sacrifice priceless assets like his silver wings and protective palace just to drag an enemy down to the grave. As a fighter who had lived through 3 reincarnation eras and was inching closer to her doomsday, 5 Chaos Master felt helpless against the final fate of her race, so she accepted the death of her main body with open arms while still daring to challenge Luo Feng. In response to his enemy's resignation, an incredibly calm voice echoed from inside the Crimson Pyramid, expressing respect that his rival had finally acknowledged him as a worthy opponent. Luo Feng confidently asserted that with his cultivation time still stretching far into the future, he would inevitably surpass and defeat 5 Chaos Master later on, even without relying on his silver wings. A second later, the deep abyss's suction, acting like a giant black hole 1,000,000 times stronger than normal, brutally dragged both of them toward the core of the pit. Due to the instability of her 5 Beast God form under such extreme gravitational pressure, the scales of her protective armor slowly started breaking off one by one, getting sucked straight into the darkness. Total destruction finally fell upon 5 Chaos Master when the beast god form completely collapsed, exposing her true body right in the middle of the gravity storm. Laughing freely without a care in the world, her entire divine body and spatial storage rings instantly shattered into pieces, leaving no trace behind. Various precious materials and high-tier treasure weapons that scattered out immediately exploded into fragments due to the pressure, which was powerful enough to crush a top-tier palace true treasure. Amidst all this debris of doom, only 4 extraordinary treasures managed to stay perfectly intact against absolute annihilation. The core of the Blade Sector, the Water Ripple Prison, the Black Token, and the Extermination Godly Armor. Spotting his enemy's valuable assets floating around completely fine, Luo Feng quickly activated his Golden Country technique in an attempt to snare the items. Unfortunately, the Deep Abyss's gravitational pull was just too superior compared to the binding power of his golden space, meaning all those treasures just kept free falling at an increasingly insane speed. When his eyes caught a massive black object moving sideways below them, the scattered pieces of armor and treasures belonging to 5 Chaos Masters slammed into it and ricocheted in all directions. Refusing to lose out on this golden opportunity, Luo Feng immediately steered the Star Tower into the black object to forcefully change his trajectory, letting him chase down and secure the black token that was getting sucked into the bottom of the abyss. Meanwhile, back in the Divine Eye Clan's first miniature universe, the real 5 Chaos Master stood on her palace balcony, laughing out loud and venting her inner satisfaction for having taught her rival a valuable lesson. Shortly after, ripples of light gathered to form the figure of the first true master, the absolute highest true god in their faction, who had come to hear a direct report regarding the defeat of 5 Chaos Masters' combat body. Once he learned that the Black Token and the Extermination Godly Armor had survived at the bottom of the Deep Abyss, right alongside Luo Feng's silver wings, the Supreme Leader sprang into action. Wasting no time, the Divine Eye Clan immediately dispatched the 3rd True Master and 6th True Master toward the Universe Boat to lock down all those legendary treasures. In another part of the world, Primal Chaos City Leader finally received a brief reply from Luo Feng, delivering the news that he had successfully dragged 5 Chaos Master into the 9th level of the Deep Abyss. Luo Feng intentionally hid the fact that he was still alive to avoid putting the human race at risk, knowing they would recklessly send a rescue squad into a death zone that was now being targeted by true gods from all over. Reacting to this tragic news, Primal Chaos City Leader stood in a moment of silence outside his palace, feeling a mix of immense pride and deep sadness over the loss of his disciple's main body. Still, he understood that the maturing process of a great fighter had to be walked alone, without outside interference. To capitalize on the situation and prevent those left-behind treasures from falling into enemy hands, Primal Chaos City Leader quickly met up with the supreme leader of the human race, the huge axe creator, who walked out of his palace with messy hair and no shoes on. After hearing the full report that Luo Feng's main body had fallen alongside 5 Chaos Master, leaving behind a pile of priceless treasures on the 9th level of the Deep Abyss, Huge Axe Creator gave a firm nod. Realizing this was an incredibly rare golden opportunity and a chance for the human race to flex its muscles, Huge Axe Creator immediately geared up for an epic journey to that forbidden territory to reclaim what rightfully belonged to their proud disciple. The news of Luo Feng and 5 Chaos Master both dying in the deadly abyss of the blazing water lake instantly sparked a massive noisy wave of chatter across the 3 reincarnation eras and the 2 Holy Land regions. Some fighters scoffed at Luo Feng's actions, calling him an absolute idiot for betting his life against a rep from the first reincarnation era, folks already known to be crazy and irrational thanks to the looming shadow of Doomsday. On the flip side, people were also laughing at 5 Chaos Master, calling her a fool for not knowing when to back down after successfully escaping the lava ocean. Even so, the disappearance of the Extermination Godly Armor and Luo Feng's silver wings into the 12 Abysses, or the Deep Abyss, immediately drew the interest of the true gods, who viewed top-tier space and time-controlled treasures as way too valuable to just ignore. While the Universe Ocean was busy throwing around his name with newfound respect, a supreme consciousness suddenly sliced through space and time, heading straight for the grand palace of the Milky Way Horde leader, Luo Feng. Inside the massive training room heavily guarded by Immortal King's servants, Luo Feng's remote ocean body, currently meditating in front of a transport portal, suddenly detected a very familiar presence, his mentor, Zuo Shanke. The mysterious elder showed up to verify the circulating rumors, and to give a thumbs up to Luo Feng's reckless yet tactical move of dragging down his enemy, serving as great shock therapy for all those arrogant factions out there. After advising Luo Feng to stay low profile and focus on finishing the 7th level of the Beast God path, Zuo Shanke vanished, though he hinted at a deep worry over the movements of the Divine Eye clan's true gods. Somewhere else, specifically at the peak of Thunder Island in the virtual universe, the vibe was a bit different around Primal Chaos City leader, who was pouring a cup of wine with Long Yan Master. Even though Long Yan Master tried to fish for conversation about the fate of his proud disciple who hadn't given an update, the master played it cool. He refrained from looking for Luo Feng, knowing full well that his disciple had his remote ocean body, which could restore his main body incredibly fast. Long Yan Master could only smile to himself, amused by Primal Chaos City leader's tough front. Secretly, the master was worried sick about his disciple's safety but chose to hold it in, wanting to let Luo Feng grow independently into a true fighter. Meanwhile, deep down in the highly mysterious and lethal darkness of the Ninth Abyss, the Crimson Pyramid, the physical form of the Star Tower, kept zipping along side by side with the free-floating black token. It had been 6 whole days of Luo Feng getting tossed around by extreme gravity currents that endlessly dragged his protective ship through zones of absolute darkness and collisions with unknown objects not recorded on Jiafanzi's ancient map. Luo Feng stayed perfectly calm at the helm, continuously tracking the black token, which shared a similar gravitational pull pattern due to its mass being roughly equal to the Crimson Pyramids. He was forced to play the waiting game because every time he tried to spend energy to grab the treasure, his domain's binding power was instantly crushed to dust by the brutal spatial pressure of the underground pit. As the days rolled on, Luo Feng suddenly felt a major shift when the gravitational suction, which had peaked in ferocity on the 4th day, started fluctuating and weakening drastically. Luo Feng quickly seized on this great signal, immediately firing up his ultimate technique, the Golden Country, to blanket the space around them. This time, the strong, hazy golden light managed to put up enough resistance to dampen and suppress the speed of the black token floating in the distance. With incredibly precise control, Luo Feng steered the Star Tower closer. Then a massive hand reached out from the pyramid's wall, firmly grabbed the legendary black object, and triumphantly yanked it straight into the ship's storage space. Inside the control room of the pyramid-shaped Star Tower, Luo Feng casually weighed the newly acquired black token in his hands. Its texture was super similar to the fragments of the Cyan Keepsake, complete with a carving of a fire-eyed, 9-fanged beast that looked as terrifying as a king of darkness. Luo Feng concluded that this indestructible heirloom was basically a key to unlock a secret room belonging to a rep from the First Universe era, who purposely hid their treasures there so they wouldn't fall into the hands of races from the 2nd and 3rd reincarnation eras. Not wasting any time, Luo Feng channeled his divine power to wipe out the remaining soul imprint of 5 Chaos Master, which was already incredibly weak from the extreme gravity hits, and then planted his own soul imprint until the black token officially belonged to him. Shortly after, the Star Tower touched down on a layer of thick green water, whose freezing levels were on par with the frozen lake fire. Realizing that the map left behind by Jiafanzi only recorded less than a millionth of the info about this isolated zone, Luo Feng quickly reactivated his golden domain to chart a route independently and find a way out. Meanwhile, way out there, the chaotic energy vortexes of the universe ocean were shaken by the movements of 2 of the most feared figures, the 3rd True Master and 6th True Master from the Divine Eye clan faction. Unlike the 2 Holy Lands, which only boasted 1 true god and 1 void true god, the Divine Eye clan felt way more overpowered, holding a roster of 7 full-strength true gods who had mastered all sorts of ancient techniques from the 3 extreme lands. Fueled by pure arrogance and revenge over their faction becoming a laughingstock, thanks to 5 Chaos Masters' defeat, these 2 massive figures agreed to deal a harsh lesson to anyone who dared mess with their assets at the bottom of the blazing water lake abyss. Their main goal wasn't just to secure the extermination godly armor and Luo Feng's silver wings, but also to wipe out the human race's supreme leader, the huge axe creator, whom they considered young and lacking a supreme true treasure weapon. Not long after making their plans, spatial ripples tore through the outer borders, and the 2 true gods from the Divine Eye clan touched down directly in the universe boat area, radiating a ridiculously thick, murderous aura. Almost at the exact same time, a massive tremor rocked the core area of the Tilted Peak realm as a gigantic, 90,000-kilometer-long axe brutally tore through space. With ancient carvings flashing mysterious lights on its handle, the legendary axe smashed through waterfall vortexes and giant rocks all around it, literally making the very laws of nature in the area retreat. The heavily built, barefoot, and messy-haired figure wielding the axe was none other than the huge axe creator, who was maxing out his speed to tens of thousands of times the speed of light just to bust through the limits of frozen space. After successfully breaking out of the Tilted Peak realm thanks to a massive dump of divine power, huge axe creator stood staring out at the vast emptiness of space, his eyes blazing with fury and sky-high confidence. He knew perfectly well that the panicking Divine Eye clan, facing their absolute age limits, would act completely crazy and underestimate other races, even ignoring the existence of the two Holy Land factions just to show off their power. Inspired by the greatness of Ancestor Yuan, who was once feared by every true god in the universe ocean, huge axe creator swore to use this momentum as a proving ground for the sheer power of his giant axe. He intended to make the top dogs of the Divine Eye clan his very first victims right before he rocketed off, chain teleporting his way straight to the universe boat. Back to the situation on the 9th level of the Deep Abyss, the Star Tower was seen flying slowly, cutting through the darkness while Luo Feng constantly tried to scan his surroundings. This forbidden zone proved to be absolutely terrifying. A high-tier protective ship would definitely get crushed in 5 minutes, and even a Pinnacle Palace-type ship would last less than a day if it wasn't wrapped in the absolute durability of something like the Star Tower. Luo Feng couldn't help but wonder, even though the danger level here matched the lava ocean, this death abyss didn't naturally spawn any new treasures at all. Instead, it only held the leftover debris of former fighters who had bit the dust. Right in the middle of his confusion while steering the pyramid through various lethal zones, Luo Feng's eyes suddenly caught a flash of a small black object floating inside a fierce wind vortex. After steering the Star Tower closer and triggering the remaining binding power of his golden domain, he managed to pull the object right into the cabin. It turned out to be a black fragment of the extermination godly armor. Finding this shattered piece of his enemy's pride and joy armor instantly made Luo Feng's eyes light up with pure excitement, as it served as a massive clue that the rest of the valuable pieces of that legendary suit were definitely floating somewhere not too far from his current coordinates. Then what happened next? Alright, thanks for watching until the very end, and don't forget to keep supporting this channel by leaving a comment, dropping a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, bye.